fucking day! Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Members Only Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you're watching after the fact and you're new to the channel, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by a whole bunch of people in Discord, and we've also got Paul LVA in G+. So I'll open the mic on QE's live stream, and hopefully we'll be able to hijack a bit of his show.
Is the goal. We're following what you're saying, but that's in rebuttal.
It'd only be a 2-second blip, possibly.
No, Lumpy.
Like it's 4 seconds. With a little visual thing for it at that time. And it could be pre-recorded, and it could just blot the opening of the show and then go from there.
But you're taking away the whole point of it then, though.
Right. Just let me share my vision. It's mine. Point is to make a definitive statement. Now, after that, if Lumpy Gas in a Vacuum wants to respond to that definitive statement and go, and in this case, yes, I agree, and here's an example, and the panel's still open to that, like we do now. That's open. But the point is, you're making, it's no longer a question. Yeah, it's a definitive statement.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just saying, we're not trying to
let me
teach
give an example for you, Bev.
You know.
Sorry, Lumpy, go on.
Didn't hear you.
Well, I was just saying, let me give an example via Bev. Bev has been making the same truth statement for a long time. He just said that all horizontals are parallel to each other, and all horizontals are parallel with the plane of the horizon.
That's an axiom.
Yeah, but it's still a truth statement, is it not?
Yeah.
How do you debunk it? Yeah.
Well, you can't with axioms. But I like that direction, but that's up to Nathan. I mean, you guys need to be talking to him.
What?
But this is crunch time for Nathan. That's the problem.
This is crunch time.
Yeah, he's done a lot of big talk, and now it's like, hey, we're all on board. Suddenly Nathan, it's all getting shaky for Nathan. Sweaty palms.
Sweaty palms.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
They want to change the housekeeping questions to more definitive statements. Adam's all over this. I'm sure he'll have them all done by tomorrow.
All righty then. Jolly good. I'm pleased to hear that. I'm sure we'll get that tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Betty.
Yes.
Take us home.
We're already home.
I figured you'd say that.
There's a storm outside here.
Lovely. I didn't ask you how the weather was out there. I said, take us home.
It means that I never went anywhere.
It's not going out on the Rumble live stream, Paul.
Yeah, I was just saying, can you click go live manually when you go to your Rumble page? Sometimes it will let you if you've got something queued up.
Just click on QE Live. Just takes me to that page with the advert. I don't know what to do, Paul. It's not going out live to Rumble. Alrighty then. This is just what I didn't want. Okie dokie. I might give up on this whole Rumble thing, Paul, because currently I'm going out to a live audience, and what we're doing is talking about the fact that it doesn't work, which is just garbage. You know, I can't do this.
I don't know where this is going to go. I'm liking that direction, by the way, but we'll see where it ends up. Stay tuned this Saturday. Like I say, tentative for right now. I would say there's 70-30 chance that Ballbusters will be this Saturday, and it's most definitely going to be on Gravity. So I'm going to leave it with that. Here's a little bit more on Gravity, and you can take that with you till Saturday. QE out.
That means it's a 70% chance of bad weather on Saturday, isn't it?
he gets his bow apart so that he can assemble his bow again. That's the point.
Oh, is that what it is? The bow
I'm still
shop alive
live.
is
Hey,
bow repair.
careful what you say.
Oh,
I'm still live.
about arrows, archery.
Yeah, it's about archery. It's important.
I just learned a practical use for meteorology. It's so that the meteorologist can have the golf course to himself.
Or the archery range.
Or the archery range. Good one.
Adam, you cracked me up yesterday when I heard your joke about New Year resolutions. No one laughed. I couldn't believe it. I would have been laughing out loud. That was an epic
I didn't hear that.
joke.
What was the joke?
If you permit me, Adam.
Yeah, go on.
Adam said, I was thinking there last night. I just said, I had enough of this I had enough of this watching stuff on that was blurry and stuff. I'm only watching. I think it was something like above 1080p from now on or whatever. That's my New Year's resolution.
Are we assuming alcohol here?
It has to sync, that one. It just takes time.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, I was useless this whole show. No super chats.
I wouldn't take that personally, Patsy.
If they're like me, they're all going to be really poor. It's just that time of year.
Same. Yeah, I'm really poor also.
Yeah. This is one of those things.
I'm poor too.
Couple of weeks, it'll pick up.
You're never useless, Flatsy. It's not your fault that they don't give money.
I even put a vow of silence, Flatsy's vow of silence. I'll speak when there's a super chat.
They'll start floating. We'll be back in business. Sorry. I never thought I could hate driving as much as I do.
Qualify it, Neil.
I just never thought I would hate driving. I always liked driving, but I can't stand it now. I would rather do physical construction work than delivery.
Is that because you robot all the time when you're driving?
No, it doesn't have anything to do with that. It's just it just sucks. Just freaking driving has now become a freaking burden, man. I used to enjoy driving.
If you had to carry bricks all day, would you not look forward to driving?
If I know what I know now, no. I'd rather have the bricks in the freaking in what do you call that thing? I forgot. I haven't done construction so long. I forgot the wheelbarrow. I'll put them in the wheelbarrow and go.
You know, construction is good, right? Once you're getting paid right. But there's two things. One, you need to be getting paid right. And two, you need to not be doing the hardest jobs on the sites. You need to be doing something that's physical and active, but that keeps you going so you don't end up cold or anything like that. Or you get to work indoors when it's bad weather and outdoors when it's good weather. But if you're just working, I used to work with just block layers, and that means you're outside all the time. There's no inside. Every other trade has some kind of inside, plaster or something. There's some inside. There's no inside with block layers. You're outside all the time, regardless of the weather.
What?
Sorry?
With what? What were you doing?
Block layers, what you call brick layers, block layers. We're using blocks. We're using blocks, not bricks, mostly. You know?
Cinder blocks. Yeah, I got you.
Well, no, we have concrete blocks.
Cobblestone, stuff like that? What are you talking about?
Made of stone, yeah, blocks made of stone, like they're heavy, especially when you get. There was the blocks where I come from. They were notoriously heavy because the type of stone was used left a lot of water into them. So you're picking up blocks and they're twice the weight they should be because they're full of water, this kind of thing. But it's great work, and you can get really strong from doing it. If you eat right, you will get good health out of it, and a good immune system out of it. But it just wears you down. You just do so much of it, stacking hundreds of blocks, and if you have to mix the mortar as well, that's some headache. And you have to clean out the house that you're working on, and you're moving scaffolding around, and it's such a load of nonsense. So when it's good is when you're tending a couple of block layers is good. If you're in a situation where you're in a high-rise building and you're building walls internally on a concrete floor, brilliant, right? Because all you're doing then is them handy, smooth blocks with mortar. You're not mixing the mortar; it's all being provided for you. But if you're working on houses, you could end up working a lot of time in really, really bad situations, and you just get sick of it. You know what I mean? You're just constantly tired. No matter what you do, you can't get enough rest. That kind of way. There's never enough rest. You're constantly tired. No matter what you do, it's just not going right. Then you have to mix your own mortar and other things like that.
Can I just interrupt?
I suppose maybe just
sorry to interrupt this fascinating discussion of slurry. Flatsy, is there any chance you can
thanks a lot.
Is there any chance you can go to my live stream, Flatsy?
Whilst you're on that.
What's that? I'm sorry. What was that?
Can you go to the Nathan Oakley 1980 live stream?
I sure can right now.
Oh, thanks. Just another thing. Just want to round out something I've been doing for about all day. Paul, I can't expect. I'm just losing my temper because I've been doing it for so many hours. But I think we've made good progress today. Would you not agree?
Yeah, it's obviously not going to work as we'd like it straight off on the first try.
Yeah, that's my general expectation. And earlier today, I was like, "You'll be all right working with me," because I'm generally quite irritable and quite fussy and obnoxious and irritated when things don't work the way that they should. So, after reflection, sat here for the last 5 minutes, I can't just expect to go immediately live on Rumble and have everything work exactly as I would hope it to. It isn't. It doesn't seem to work. We're not currently live on Rumble. There we go. That's life. But on the other hand, certain steps have been taken, which I was quite scared or apprehensive to actually start. And I think we've done that. So even if it hasn't worked immediately, and I'm not going to be suddenly Rumble live stream champion tomorrow, even if I need a week to recover, we can make next steps next time, if that's good with you, if you're still willing.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, no problem.
Good. Also, thank you for your help today. I know you. Well, I'm sitting here thinking how annoyed I am for how many hours I've sat here. You've sat here next to me the whole time, so thank you very much for your time. It doesn't benefit you in the slightest, so thank you very much.
Well, no, it does. It helps me, work out the kinks for future test stuff, so it's helpful. Thank you.
I don't have to thank me. I've done nothing but moan and bleat about how it's not working. Shout out to... are you there yet, Flatsy?
You got super chats.
Oh, you super chat me. Oh, why not if you're here?
You just wanted to make use of me today. I appreciate it. Flat Earth Travolta said nice. And Flat Earth Travolta also said, to salve your irritation, technology is a pain in the arse.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be worth it in the end with help. Also, thanks to Bible Use also in the chat. She was helping earlier. So thank you very much, Paula. Really appreciate your help. And also, yeah, we are live. That's why Flat Earth Travolta said nice, because he was asking, is this live? Well, yeah, because when I scheduled the restream, it doesn't change the settings in terms of where the stream goes. I intended this to be members only. And then when I click the live button, I'm like, well, let's just see if this does actually trigger Rumble to go live as well at the same time as YouTube. Not only did it not trigger Rumble, it went out to the public. So this is a public live stream that you weren't expecting, which is why I said to Paul, I can't do this, because in order to test live streaming stuff, each time I press that button, I want... I know some people wouldn't give a toss and be like, oh, well, it's just testing stuff. Now, I want every single time I press that button it to be of the height of professionalism, with a proper intro and a proper, introduction to the panel, or a call to action for people to give me money, more importantly than anything. And over and above everything, as much as it's a pittance, I do want it to be monetized. And for some reason, Restream doesn't do that. So those are just kinks that we'll work out. I'm sure we'll be able to get some automation in place where either OBS is sharing stream keys between two places, one of which is Restream, and that goes out to Rumble, or if not, we figure out another methodology of being able to actually schedule it through Restream, so it just automatically dumps both of the details and the show links and everything else into both platforms so that they're ready to go when I press live. That might be a stretch, we'll see. But it's a bit overwhelming at the moment as it stands. I've got 2 4K monitors that are covered in windows, and while I was setting it up, I had Paula on one of the lines going, it might help if you close down some of your windows. I'm like, yeah, it might, but I need to see all of them, don't I? I've got to see every single thing. And it might be a bit of a stretch for me to incorporate in Rumble as well, because if I've got to monitor another live stream, it's just too much in the scan. It's like adding an extra job to a pilot when they've got 25 instruments to scan. It's like, well, they will eventually be able to train into introducing that extra instrument. But initially, you're like, oh, bloody hell, well, how can I keep up with the rest of my scan if I've got this other thing to pay attention to? I'm sure I'll be able to figure it out. I'll incorporate Rumble somehow, some way. Next thing is going to be a better panel. So at the moment, if you're an audience member, you can see Paul and myself in G+. So when I say, I now pass over in the Uncle and After Show, I'll pass over to whoever's in the G+ and Discord panels. Well, it may be the case that G+, which is expensive, relatively speaking, it's a tenner a month, which isn't that much money, but it's, in excess of 100 quid a year to have a panel that doesn't give me the facility to change the volume on each guest, which is pretty crap. Now, I've tried a couple of different other ones that, again, Paul has been very helpful with, Gilded, and I forget the name of the other one. It might have been, was it Gilded that's the one that's connected to Roblox?
Yeah, that was the one we got kicked out of One Ballbusters, if you remember. So we went back to Discord.
Did we? I don't remember that. We got kicked out of Gilded.
Yeah, that was the last straw because it was a bit different to Discord, and we all got kicked out of the channel. I think it was Ballbusters.
Oh, really? I don't remember that. Okay, well, whatever. I want to substitute for G+, which is another thing on the list of things that I said to Paul a couple of weeks ago. Look, if it takes me 6 months to plod my way through these things, so be it. As long as I'm making progress, baby steps, as Neil keeps taking the mickey out of me for. But there's, it's a complex show. It's developed over a long time. There's a lot going on to keep it looking slick. And some people might come along and just see the screenshots of stuff floating by and go, oh, it doesn't look that slick. It's like, well, it's a lot to run.
Paul, Nathan, has put a lot of work in making sure your panel is ready for the Switch. Whether he's let you know about it, how much he's pestered us or not. But I think when that Switch is made, your panel's ready. Even to the point of Neil up now with his new phone. But yeah, I don't think you need to worry there. That's up to you when that goes, because I said Paul's done a lot of work to ensure we all are ready for that.
Sure. And it was discussed on Ballbusters earlier on when it was live on QE show, but there's a more grandiose purpose to this. Now, I'll take the YouTube hat off so it isn't obvious, yes, I want to make a living from this. Obviously, I'm a YouTuber. But with that hat off, the purpose of this is to widen our stench, right? To waft it out a bit, basically. Now, if that means that the sound is better and it reaches more places, like Rumble, then so be it. If it's just a bit of spit and polish on what we've already got, then fine. That would be great. But that isn't what I want to achieve, and I've barked about this enough on QE's open panel. I want people to move forward on the front foot. And Adam, when I'm bracing against you, I don't want you to feel that you need to stop pushing to want better, to want more refinement in terms of this. You're going to need a flat earth for that and how it needs to be done. So while I'm overtly bracing against you, I have to sometimes explain this to Neil. It doesn't mean I want you to stop. Just because I'm standing in opposition to you, in many ways, I want to egg you on. Do you know what I'm getting at?
Right, dude. I thought that was a good debate. I understand. Yeah, but my opinion is my opinion, so I'm going to give it. Yeah. In those moments, I don't necessarily need to ram it down people's throats, but I'll probably be more forceful moving forward anyway. But there's a time. But this is good to hear this, not dissent, but difference of opinion in the supposed echo chamber. Yeah, and I think what tonight's highlight is it is a time of change, and we're all probably acutely aware of it. It's time for a seed change, and we're all pondering how that seed change should be. I thought tonight was quite productive in terms of all of us at least recognising it's time for a different tact.
And I need to think of better phraseology when I'm trying to get across what I want to achieve. When I say I want to move forward on the front foot with a positive assertion of Earth being flat, measured flat, navigated flat, obviously and observably flat, proven flat, dealt with flat, those are all the things I do want to step forward with. But it's a general attitude. And all that keeps coming to me, I don't know why, is the rumpus and his general demeanour back in 2015, 2016, 2017, with things like sextants don't even work on a flat Earth. Things like that attitude, but without the lies behind it, is what I want. I don't want people to become the rumpus. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying that overt confidence in the fact that in this instance, to contrast rumpus, sextants only work on a flat Earth. That kind of understanding from the people who are dyed-in-the-wood flat Earth debate and quantum eraser fans that do know the arguments and can go forth like that, you know, the people who are metaphorical equivalents to rumpus in our arena on the flat Earth side, you know, people like you and refracted curvature or anybody else. But I want that alteration in attitude to sort of permeate through our community so that people are not concerned that they're going to get mocked for being a flat earther, more because they are so confident in their understanding of a flat Earth, they can sort of smirk. I tell you what, that just popped into my brain. Do you remember Chris Monk describing his time as a Freemason? Were you ever there during those discussions, Adam, or anybody else who's here now?
Some of them, yeah, and the knife ones and things like that. Yeah, go on.
Well, the most memorable one was when he told me about his Freemasonic lodge leader indirectly telling him that Earth wasn't a sphere. Now, the way he told him when Chris was mentioning something about satellite communication, the lodge leader smirked, yeah, if you think the Earth's a sphere, and then just toddled off. Now, he wasn't, as Chris Monk explained this to us, overtly going out of his way to tell him that Earth wasn't a sphere. He said he was using that as an example of how the knowledge that is contained within the secret realm of Freemasonic lodges comes across to another person who's a lower ranking member. They don't just tell you Earth's not a sphere, that's all a big lie. They'll subtly hint at it in the way that he just described, and I'm now regurgitating third hand. Well, if you think the Earth's a sphere. That attitude is what I'm saying we should have.
Yeah. It's not attitude, it's confidence in your own standard. So, yeah. So I'll give you an example. I was talking about me and my mate's circle. So when the Chinese land, and the space guy goes, they've landed on the South Pole. I said, oh, has the moon got a molten iron core now? Yeah, that kind of arrogance. It's not arrogance, it's confidence in your own position. You can poke the bear because you know where it's going to go. And that's where we're at now. There is no debate. Best we can do is trying to instigate some kind of thought in the opponent. And that comes from having confidence in your own position. You can only do that when you know you can't be defeated. You're not scared of anything they can throw at you. And then you have to be like that Mason. And you can be a little bit Obi-Wan or Yoda-like, can't you? Because that's what that is. You're being slightly mysterious because you're so confident. Yeah? To elude hidden knowledge. It's a little bit witsy. Or you get it's not, because you're going to back it up and share it if requested. Yeah? You can be that. Confident is the right word. It's not arrogant, because you're not downtrodden anyone. You're just showing you're very, very confident in what you say. If they want to inquire more, you can provide more. That's why I was saying housekeeping statements. Not arrogant, they're just statements. People want to challenge them or agree with them in a multitude of ways that you'll be able to. That's where we should be now in terms of our approach, our confidence. We're not asking the world questions anymore. We're not asking for evidence of curve. We're not asking what the horizon is. We're telling you what the horizon is. We're telling you can't have gas pressure without a container. You want to challenge that? That's up to you. But we're telling you these are statements of fact.
Yeah, that's confidence. But confidence without the confidence trickster element that Rumpus induced or instigated or whatever the word is. He was conning people with his confidence, and that is the root word of con. Con is confidence. That's all it means. You're a confidence trickster. But using your confidence to trick people isn't the same as using your confidence to assert a fact when it is a fact. And we should be assured of that. We should be confident in the fact Earth is measured flat. And upon being more confident in the fact that Earth is measured flat and is flat, the less you'll feel the need to challenge those who disagree with you. There'll be a certain self-satisfying smugness about your demeanour that will ooze confidence to those who witness you in that way. What we currently have, or what we had in 2023 and previous years, was people who only believed Earth was flat. So we were asked, where's your silver bullet flat Earth proof? No one gave anything in years gone by. I got it. Here's your bullets. There's not just one. There's a whole 6-shooter full of them. Fire them off. But having the gun in your holster tends to mean that you don't need to take it out and show it and flash it around because you know you've got it. Oh, I've got gun analogies going in my head. I watch a lot of guns and ammo videos at the moment, but gun analogies are what you're getting. Yeah? Just because you conceal carry doesn't mean you tend to go out like a cowboy shooting at stuff. But it means you've got the confidence to know that you have got the ammunition in your, or on your person, ready to go at a moment's notice should it be needed. And then you tend to find you don't pull your gun very often. Well, if people know Earth is flat, and have that self-assured smugness about that fact that they damn well know, they won't find themselves in the gun battle so often. They don't need to. That's what I'm trying to get across. You know, it's not that I don't want people to learn the arguments. It's not that I want people to come, just hear it's flat, understand it immediately, and then bugger off, because I'll make no money putting the YouTube hat back on. I want people to stick around and learn the arguments, Adam. But the sentiment is I want people to come and understand it from the off. Not think, have I got an open mind? Do I think there were planes on 9/11? I don't want them to come and think that.
No, and that's why I'm suggesting that housekeeping questions should be changed to housekeeping statements. That's the difference. Yeah? We're not asking anything anymore. We're telling you it is flat. Number one statement. It is measured flat. Number two, it is navigated flat. Number three, you cannot have gas pressure without containment. Where those statements of fact lead you, if you want to invoke a ball, then we can deal with all of those things, can't we, with those statements of fact. But we make those statements confidently, and we then may want to explain why those statements are true, substantiate them. And that empowers people, and that's the confidence for me. That's why I'll take anybody on, you know, with my mates. I'm happy to discuss anything. That's why I'll poke the bear. So it doesn't matter where they take it. We've got truth. So the difference is I've got confidence in me to enable me to discuss with anybody it and go wherever the conversation goes. I've got confidence in myself. Yeah, I'm not asking the person I'm talking to believe what I'm saying without substantiation and have them to have confidence in me. That's what a trickster is. The confidence is in the person that's being conned, in the person that's conning them. No, this is a different confidence. This is me standing out saying, no, I will confidently make statements of fact. You can challenge them if you wish, and here we are. Not asking questions anymore.
Back to the notion of whether or not the name of the show should change. I know we've kind of covered this already. But as much as we want to allude to the sentiment that's already been discussed, there is no debate. It's a done deal. We know it's measured flat, and the requirement for a flat Earth is in place in a globe belief. Now, that might be profound to people who don't realise it. It isn't to us anymore. But it is profound to those who haven't appreciated it and have never come across those facts up until this point. Therefore, like I keep saying, we should lead with those facts. We shouldn't change the name of the show because the fact is the Western world believe they're on a sphere. Therefore, until the majority, the consensus, appreciate that they've been working with a flat plane the whole time, which is, I think, the angle that people will be able to accept this as commonly known anyway, as opposed to ridiculed, violently opposed, and then accepted as being a fundamental truth all along. Well, for people to appreciate that it was always navigated, measured, built on, observed, flat, they'll say, oh yeah, I already knew that it was self-evidently navigated on flat. That's why all maps are flat. You know, you want people to have a route into saying, I already knew this was self-evident, without them having to acknowledge anything about being lied to about a globe. So in order for them to step away from the awful truth that they've been lied to, they have to have a self-realization in the reality of the world that they're dealing with, without any comprehension or need for comprehension about the relinquishment of the old faith. You don't need to learn more about Scientology to walk out on the cult. You might need to reaccustom yourself with how social interactions take place outside of the cult. But that new process of learning social norms is just learning social norms, not learning the difference between normie social norms and Scientology social norms. You don't have to learn them in parallel. And likewise, you don't have to learn about how you've been lied to, because by doing so, it puts everybody you try to educate on this subject matter into a frame of mind that is repulsive to them. Oh, you're telling me how I was lied to? I don't like that. I don't want you to tell me how stupid I am and how I was obviously taken for a ride by my own stupidity when I was indoctrinated. I don't want to hear that, is what the reaction people give you. Now, if you don't come at that angle, that is to say, all globe elements that they would love us to be arguing about indefinitely are just left by the wayside, including and not limited to their requirement for us to explain what the horizon is, as we were discussing earlier on the QE part of this show. Well, when you get to the starting point of, yeah, it's obviously always been dealt with flat, that's how you navigate. And you can even come up with the concept of a ball from that. Did you know that? Yeah, fascinating, isn't it? Yeah, you already knew that. Oh, yeah, it's self-evident. Yeah, everybody knows it's self-evident. Then nobody's having to face the awful truth that they were deceived onto a ball, are they?
Very, very kind of you.
Indeed, give me
Probably
money.
An easier transition. You're talking about getting people to accept facts that they're then going to have to deal with the consequences of later. But yeah, that's how I do it on the streets. Yeah, like you're not going to argue and try and. Remember when I got that couple? Yeah, and I was with Dave, and he's trying to disprove the ISS to him, and they're having none of it. Took a minute, I got them to define how states of matter behave, and we took them. Yeah, I remember you've trigged about 5 or 6 seconds before they've trigged, and I hear on the live stream you go ha 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 like that. Yeah, that's exactly what you're describing. That's how you have to get people, not disprove them wrong, get them to make statements that realise they've disproved themselves wrong. They don't have to do it publicly. You know what I mean? They just have to make the statements, and they'll chew on them. And that's kind of what you're doing now. It's just showing people truth, not showing them how they've been mugged off. Because I'm not sure who it is that says it, but it's easier to fool someone than to show them they've been fooled. Not fooling them, you're just showing them the truth.
Mark Twain.
Was it Twain? Thank you. And that's the opposition we get, isn't it? Because ultimately, as I've said before, you're selling shit in that way, aren't you? No, you're a fucking idiot. Believe me. Honestly, look, let me show you what a fucking idiot you've been. Yeah, that's what you're showing people, and that's never tasteful to anyone. It's never going to be.
Where the fundies come along and will say, yeah. I mean, so Biggie, it's flatty. Is there already in place at a higher level of comprehension for ball debate or the necessity for a flat plane? Now, if you can take those aspects that at the moment refracted curvature is getting a lot of kudos for recognising those trigger words that lead you to say you're going to need a flat earth for that. Well, if we can educate the audience from the off with those points, that link back into an understanding that's already in place from our opponents. How Earth is, in that instance, so big, it's measured flat. If you can take that and say, well, we already know self-evidently that Earth is measured flat, then you don't have to mention that, and we're going to take that measurement of a flat Earth to infer that it's so big that we can measure it flat. You don't have to go to that place. If somebody takes it to that place, you know, that's where your confidence in the, what? Didn't you understand? Measured flat bit. You're saying because we measure it flat, it's ball. That seems silly, but okay, whatever you want to believe. That kind of confidence is gonna change the attitude of the general audience member who's a flat earther. 33 watching, very suspicious. Please share the show. Also, a couple of shout outs because I've got some members. And I like it when people give out free memberships because the people who are watching and don't necessarily chat often pick up the free super, whatever they're called, super memberships that someone's donated. For instance, Admiral Dickie Bird 12, obviously an avid watcher because he's been watching long enough to be picking up a free membership. Also, there was another one, Jinder Lee. Never seen you in the chat before, Jinder Lee. Or Ed's Expensive, but you've obviously been watching enough to be picking up a free membership. DALA I've seen before. Lamal Forever I think I've seen before. Rob obviously I've seen before. Who else? 7 Moxie 7 I've seen before. Individual one I've seen before. Snowbirds I've definitely seen before. Unindoctrinated. Yeah, definitely know who you are. They've all got free memberships, but the ones that you don't see suddenly appearing, oh, that's a name I didn't know. Obviously you're watching and not chatting. Good for you. Anyway, welcome to the Nathan Oakley 1980 members bit. There's loads of videos that come out for members. Check them out. Sorry, I didn't mean to kill the vibe there, Adam. Go ahead.
And I was just looking myself. Good point. They're not names I've seen a lot. So I say I don't know how I got gifted that McToon thing, mate. Because I don't watch McToon. You know what I mean? So I'm intrigued as to how these things work.
But it is nice to see some new names because obviously there's plenty of people. The numbers of chatters are far lower than the numbers of viewers. And it's nice to say, yeah, okay, there are faces attached to those numbers when they're just numbers. Today there was 125 people watching. Notice I didn't have to beg my way to shares the whole show. Did you see that I wasn't constantly saying, please share the show, please share the show? I did say it a couple of times, don't get me wrong, like in the intro every day I do. And then at one point I was like, great, go and share the show and go and subscribe to Brian and go and let this person know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. But we, managed to eke our way up well and truly above 100. But you probably only got 30 people in the chat actually talking. But when you see someone giving a free membership, you're like, that puts a face to just a number. One of those 100-odd people that you don't know who they are. Yeah, welcome, all those new members. Good to have you.
That was my question to those that got those free memberships, if you're still there. Are you existing channel members, or you just randomly arrived tonight? Or are you ones that have been there and just been lucky? Because
Jindley answered you. If I'm saying your name right, Jindale says, oh yeah, I've been watching for years. See?
Thank you.
Or it was a celebration. Oh yeah, I've been watching for years. It could be like that. Depends. You can't tell. Oh yeah,
I'll go with the former.
Free membership. Thank you, whoever. I didn't actually thank the person that gave out the free memberships. I don't think I did. Should really do that. More importantly, is it's cost them money. Thank you, Flat Earth Travolta. Really appreciate it. And again, Flat Earth Travolta giving out free memberships twice. Thank you very much indeed for your support. Really appreciate it. I also like having a lot of members. So it really does give me a good idea of which videos to release on the weekend. Obviously, it's going to be videos that have gone out to members, typically, the uncut and after shows. Now, don't get me wrong, they all will eventually make their way in sequence onto the second channel. But if I've got members actually watching those videos, I can see which ones get better numbers and better comments. That is to say, when I look through, which video am I going to publish on Saturday, for instance, I'll go, well, which member video got the most views? Because that's one that somebody's watched to a point and gone, I must come back and see the rest of how that discussion padded out. And then they've gone back to it, and then by the time you go, okay, well, this one's got 80 views, that one's got 90 views. But often I'll get in excess of 100 views on a members-only video. I remember starting the channel and getting 100 and being elated that I get 100 views on a video. Now I get that from members. But it really does tell me, from the interaction from the members, which is going to be a good video to release for the public. So, for instance, there's been over the New Year, I did like a whole spat of Sabine videos, and you guys are constantly mentioning her on the shows at the moment, and that's directly reflected in people's interest in her, for whatever reason, with a connection to Flat Earth. So, as a result of all the members watching and commenting on those videos with Sabine, they happen to be the most viewed and most commented on when it came to which videos are going to release over New Year. So there ended up being a little spate of Sabine video, Sabine video, Sabine video, in case you hadn't noticed. It's like, well, I'm just giving you what you want. Those are the ones that people have watched, making them the most popular videos. So it just ended up being that the Sabine Hosselenfelder members-only videos got the most views and comments. So hence they were released to the public. So I really like the members feature. It is so useful.
Sounds like an internal Mori poll.
It is. That's exactly what it is.
Useful. Well, good for you as a channel runner. You know what I mean? To manage your spare content like that. That'll be the Christmas special. That's the only Fools and Horses one. You know what I mean? That's good.
Yeah, that's exactly how I get to gauge it. And it directly translates as well. So I've defied the views and comments before and gone, I really like that video. It was very Nathan heavy. I'll publish that one on Saturday. And I'll sit in the chat and watch it and think, this is great. And I'll say to the people in the chat, you got to share. This is good show, this one. and it doesn't get as many people watching. So the numbers don't lie.
What are you saying? That the poll says more Brian?
The poll says more Brian. Less Nathan heavy content, please. It's not, what I mean is, it's just, I'm not suggesting that it is necessarily the ones that have got the most of me in are going to be the ones most dear to me, but I'm just saying there are instances where maybe I've got a 5-minute section that I've edited out of that particular 3-hour live stream. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that the rest of the 3-hour live stream is worthy of putting out to an audience just because I got one edited video out of it. But I'll go, well, I've got an edited video, it's got to be good. So you put it out, and then the fact that there hasn't been many members watching that 3-hour live stream is directly translated into the number of people who will come and watch it when it's published, even though it's got that edited video in it. And as it's coming up, the numbers might go up because people share it at that particular moment because it's exciting at that moment. I love my job. I love being a YouTuber. I just wish it was a bit more profitable. Struggling and scraping by for 10 years isn't much fun. But other than that, it's a fantastic job and I love what I do.
Well, that alludes to what Neil said earlier, doesn't it? He hates driving now. You know what I mean? That's I kind of get bored of what I'm doing. You have the luxury. I know the income revenue is not there, but you have the luxury of actually enjoying what you do, which means you don't ever work.
Yeah.
Per se.
Well, sometimes I do. So today's day was definitely work, and I'm not gonna lie. And as much as I'm fiddling and faffing with a twitchy computer almost daily, again, it's part of my routine now. So again, that doesn't class as the work, but it did initially. So there are things that are work. I don't necessarily enjoy figuring out how Restream and a new replacement for G Plus is going to work. That's not fun. But the end result of being able to reach a bigger audience, and then, the bit I want is this, the conversation that somebody who's in the audience now, a totally impromptu stream, there's almost 40 people watching. You go, great. This has enticed enough people to come and listen to this discussion. Great. Whereas at the beginning, we're like, I can't do this, Paul. Okay, it's because messing around with things that aren't functioning technically correctly is boring as all hell for the audience, and that's my only concern. I just want the audience to be engaged, captivated. That's the word. Is that right? Is that the right word? Captivated? Captivated. Yes, that is the right word. It's just tired. I'm just tired. It's late.
This is all the history of
Hey,
getting
Nathan.
Hello, whoever that was.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to let you know before you sign off. I didn't actually make that suggestion about Flat Earth definitely for you to even think about changing the show name. But you're right. The most of the Western world believes in one cosmology. So these discussions sometimes will eventually always turn into a debate anyway. However, I think when I was thinking about it, your show has become like a flat Earth dojo. That's what I would call FED, is the flat Earth dojo. But anyways, I just wanted to let you know I really appreciate it and all the work you've put in. And so yeah, God bless you, and I appreciate you.
No, I really appreciate the support that I get. I mean, that is another fantastic aspect of being in this community, as opposed to just, the YouTube community has developed the friendships I've developed, so I can't ignore that aspect of it. But it isn't YouTube. The support I get, financial or otherwise, like you've just offered, Seisu, that support is priceless, and it has a dollar value. But what I'm saying is, you can get all sorts of different communities that get supported. So I mentioned Guns and Ammo recently in the. We're still live, aren't we? In this live stream, I've mentioned that I watch Guns and Ammo video to unwind, and there's people in those communities that support the Fifth Amendment, and will therefore support the creators with a degree of passion. But that degree of passion, even when it's something that people are very committed to, like gun rights in the States, that passion isn't evergreen or universally translatable around the world to everybody. And this subject is. And the passion that comes is directly translatable to your Fifth Amendment type person that has that level of passion, but amplified so much more, because people's right to bear arms is very different to the right to recognise the nature of your physical reality. To me, that I can see in the community that I have has touched people very deeply, and therefore they're keen to support people who are like-minded and passing on worthy information, to the point where they'll financially support me. And not just financially, Paul's a good example because he does both, right? Paul both financially supports the show because he's bought the computer that the thing's streaming on, but he also, more importantly and often more valuably, offers up his time and expertise and knowledge and work to get things done to, grease the skids with certain Discord servers or figure out how certain software works. That sort of mental time is a much more heavy investment from people. And as much as I'm obviously always keen to get people's financial assistance, that type of investment, the mental investment, or better example would be the panel themselves, the people who actually make the show possible. Their mental investment in the subject that we're covering is priceless. You don't get that kind of passion from people who are fighting for Fifth Amendment rights. Now, maybe you can give a couple of odd examples, but almost everybody who comes to this subject that isn't anti-Flat Earth have that level of passion about the subject, which is just, a wonderful thing to take part in. For me, as a creator, it's just fantastic, a fantastic vibe from the community that we're in. It really is wonderful. I often hear about the contra description of the anti-Flat Earthers community, and it sounds horrible. I get descriptions of people getting bullied and browbeaten in the anti-Flat Earth community, and it's like, man, I know we have our differences with people like Witsit and stuff, but I would hope we weren't considered like bullies and browbeating people into our opinions. We offer our evidence and take apart other people's claims. Now, people often don't like that and will take it personally, but it's very different to what I get described to me about the equivalent of what we do here over on the anti-Flat Earth servers and the anti-Flat Earth communities. And dare I say it, there's been...
It's not...
Go on.
Not bullying. It's being firm to wake these numpties up. You're not bullying anybody. We're being firm on what
I'm
we
not saying
stand
we are,
on.
Neil. I'm saying that is the general sentiment about the opposing sides communities, not us.
Why would you join
okay.
an anti?
Or were you referring to me saying?
survey? You would
Go
join,
on, Adam. Sorry.
so you would join an anti-flat Earth. I'm an anti-flat earther. I'm going to join that. Why? Because sadly, inside you've got some reason you want to go and what you think has empowered you to go and intellectually bully somebody. You to go and show what an idiot these flat earthers are. Very different motivations. Like I said, we're selling poo on this side. Why you'd want to come on this side is because actually you smell something's wrong. The reason for joining the anti-flat earth side isn't some godforsaken crusade. It doesn't need defending the globe. Perfectly well on its own without the rumpus or anything. It didn't need that support. Why are those people there? Because they are intellectual bullies. They get kind of masochistic, psychopathic kick out of it. That's why they're there. Because of two very different reasons. They've got problems, haven't they, with themselves. We've got problems with society. Why we're here. Profound. Probably true.
Yeah, like you say, they're not trying to convince us either. They're trying to convince themselves. But in so doing, they have to, strongly and vehemently oppose anybody who stands in opposition to them, which just sounds horrible. Doesn't sound like much fun. Well, there we go.
Can't be, can it? Otherwise, we turn up because it's fun, it's enjoyable, it's intellectually challenging. You're stretching yourself, you're learning things. Why are they turning up? To reaffirm that they're right?
Yeah, to reaffirm their already in existence consensus belief. It's already consensus, but they need more because we challenge it. Isn't that nuts?
Right on that, I'm going to head off because busy day tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow on the show, hopefully. Have a good one, everyone. Bye, mate.
Well, I'm going to stay up for a little bit in live stream because I need to test if this computer's going to crash, given that I've changed a few settings. It crashed, well, various computer programs and USB drives crashed during the testing process while QE was live, and I was trying to get Rumble to work. That's a hardware thing, though. I've changed hardware settings today. Did I tell you the computer failed this morning? He's buggered off already, hasn't he? Bye, Adam. He knows I'd keep him here forever talking about the computer.
Well, I would be here, but my internet sucks, so I'm probably not going to be able to talk.
Have you been listening in?
Trying to.
You were the subject of discussion quite a few times. I just didn't know if you'd heard those times.
No, I'm not. I'm not having a good time with my computer at the moment. I'm having trouble getting the mute button off right now.
Oh, fair enough. Well, if you get a chance, maybe listen to QE Live. There was lots of discussion about you, specifically in regards to identification of the instances where you're going to need a flat earth for that isn't understood by the audience, or says who specifically. We're saying it would be beneficial to get an explanation, and I'm saying, well, you won't necessarily get that unless you're well trained like you are, John, because you just hear, I'm presuming you're listening out for the cues, and when you hear a trigger word, you know that that's the time to mention that you'll need a flat earth for that particular example. But without just being experienced and knowing what those cues are, you can't just be told with a presentation how to do that. It just won't work like that, in my view.
Right. Well, it's like with the black swan. People can say black swan when somebody mentions geometric horizon. That doesn't mean anything unless you understand the argument behind it and what the information that's been presented. It's useless to say black swan.
Yeah, you've got to understand how to explain the argument. But listening out for when that's appropriate to say black swan, you're going to hear those cues because you understand the argument and recognise that's the appropriate moment.
Right. Yeah, I did the black swan get this kind of resistance?
Yeah, of course.
Hold on a second. You didn't understand the below surface level. He wanted that explained.
In the side-on depiction of Earth curve mathematics, surface level is a horizontal plane, and they claim the horizon exists below it. If they are claiming a geometric horizon, that is explained now.
And I did say you do explain it. It's not just always said, you explain it. And that's pretty much read now. That's the bottom line. I don't understand what the problem. I really don't understand what the problem is.
There isn't one. It's just people are learning new arguments and they want to know how to better discuss them, and they're looking to us to give them that understanding. I mean, it's not like we're talking to somebody who's unreasonable and hasn't paid attention. You know, Seisu is explaining that he's listened to certain Coriolis discussions over and over and over again to figure out every nuance of every backdoor alley that whatever, who was it?
Well, hold on, Nathan. I think that's the problem, though. You don't need to on this. It's not needed. Maybe Coriolis, you did have to pay attention to everything. But come on, it's a level plane surface we're dealing with. It can't be curved.
Well, since I was the one that brought it up, in regards to the surface level argument, someone would have to be familiar with that diagram, I think, in their head for that to be applicable in a conversation. So, but even the nuances of that argument, if they are familiar with that diagram, those are just things that I like to kind of, what's the word, cram, when you study, you cram. I like to cram on that stuff. So I know that when it does come up in conversation, I can address it appropriately.
But did you not hear what John just said? I know you listened, so you heard what he said. He explained it. There's nothing to cram.
Right. Like I said, we're talking about me having a conversation with somebody else. They would kind of need to be familiar with that diagram. Don't you agree, Neil?
No, they just have to know the horizon is where surface level appears to meet the sky.
Right. So when you tell them that everything happens below surface level, they're probably not going to know what I'm talking about. Like, I'm just going through talking to people that I know. You know what I'm saying?
No, what they're claiming, if you were going to try to describe it with the diagram, could only exist below surface level.
And surface level is horizontal.
Yes, it must be.
Right. Right. See, in my mind,
it can't be a sphere. Sorry.
Obviously. I'm getting out napkins and I'm going to draw them a diagram to get them to kind of conceptualize it. Interestingly enough, sometimes, orthographic views are helpful. But anyway, all that to say, sometimes when you say that, I'll just be honest with you. Like, I have to think about it for a moment, think about surface level, think how I could describe it to them so that they would get it. And I don't know. Like I said, I'm speaking for myself. These are just things that I like to pour over so that I have the argument solid, so that I can actually, like we were talking about earlier, say it with confidence. If it becomes my argument, I'd have to know exactly what I was talking about. It wouldn't be refracted curvature sitting with me, walking me through it. I'd have to be able to explain it to them, even if they were very uninformed about the topic itself.
All right, I'll tell you the best way to do it. Go to Walter Bislin's Earth Curve Calculator and go to the advanced feature where it shows you how the calculation's derived. It'll be a side-on profile. I think it's the second tab. And surface level is a horizontal plane.
Okay. So when I speak to them and go ahead.
No, sorry.
Okay. So if that surface level is basically horizontal or to the horizon, then all of that math below it, all of that diagram below that would have to occur below the visible, what we would call the horizontal deck. Is that correct?
Well, what they're describing in it is their interpretation of measurement. What it is, oh man, they're misinterpreting the mathematics to where they believe there is a geometric obstruction that they would call the horizon. Okay. But in application, where their measurements are concerned, level is a horizontal plane, whether it's surface level or eye level. Does that help?
I guess I'm just thick. I don't know. If they're going to derive any go ahead, Flatsy.
No. I was just gonna kind of ask a question. Are we talking about like? We've kind of been spoon-fed, luckily, because QE is very thorough and he does his presentations laid out very, very clearly and comprehensively. He shows what he's talking about by citing the sources and demonstrating how this is actually, this is reality. This is what they're doing to cause it to be misinterpreted. Having it laid out in a presentation, if that's what is that what you guys are talking about? Or like, is that where the contention is? I'm not sure what's going on.
I don't think there's a presentation for this. It's just reality.
Well, if there is something that you can show to prove your point, then it's only going to be better. It's not going to, you know what I mean? Like, QE will do a presentation on a slope-a-dope. He's got that down with sources and everything. So,
right, but his presentation, right?
Is he roboting for anybody else?
Yeah.
Run is a horizontal plane.
Yeah, you're roboting, John.
Your calculation.
John, repeat that. You're roboting.
Absolutely. You will need a flat Earth.
He's pulling a Neil.
Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yeah, re-say everything.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
I am sorry. Could you repeat the question?
Actually, now you're cutting out again, brother.
Yeah, you're cutting out. I was getting what you were saying.
What I was doing.
You were talking about rise over run. The run would be the flat surface. So.
Right. You.
Oh man.
Yeah, it sucks.
I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and say I get where you're coming from. I think that it never hurts to lay it out in like a visual demonstration for people to be able to visually see what you're talking about, be able to source it and refer
I agree
to
100%.
It.
I'm a visual learner. That's why I understand Brian so well, especially when he draws stuff out and he illustrates it.
In regards to everything being below surface level, I don't run into people that barely try it. Nope.
Oh man, yeah. I'm.
You sure are?
I'm down to one bar.
Okay.
That's a bummer, John. Anyway, I don't really ever get the opportunity in even online or in conversation to bring up the argument about everything being below surface level. That's just not one that I use. However, it seems to be fairly powerful if somebody wants to conceptualize it with that calculator or whatever. So I get that horizontal, the flat plane, everything happens below that. I get that part. I just don't ever get to use it.
Well, that's it. We're trying to retrain people to start with these arguments in terms of the necessity for a horizontal plane when it comes to globe proofs.
Sure, right. And I think it would be useful because Walter Bislin and his calculator does come up sometimes, but they're more concerned, in regards to the refraction, how it ends up making everything flat. So I don't know. I don't need to use that surface level in that regard. I would say, okay, well then you're going to make our argument and say that refraction is going to be factored in, but you can only make that argument after the fact and say, well, there just has to be a certain amount of refraction for the Earth to appear a certain way. That's silly.
Yeah, I think that refracted curvatures, he's trying to get ahead of that and not even go there. He wants to go where they got everything, where it was all established was from a horizontal plane before any of the other things are added to it.
Indeed. We'll get there. It's not going to be a slow...
Computer, is that any better?
Yeah, miles better. You try all that again?
What is it about the rise over run formula needing run to be a horizontal plane?
Yes.
I mean, that's not an argument. That's just a statement of fact. That every calculation of rise over run uses run as a horizontal distance.
So I'll just ask you the question then, John, because it's better for me to ask questions otherwise. So in regards to surface level on that diagram, that's just a horizontal reference point. When you say everything happens below that, which I've seen the diagram, what is your ultimate point in saying that? Are you saying that everything that they do as far as the geometry goes is already using a flat Earth, but it has to happen below it? How is that an argument, I guess, or how is that a selling?
No, what they've done is taken the loss over a flat plane as you increase or change altitude exists below the surface level that you've already measured. So the concept of a geometric horizon could only exist below surface as a plane.
I'm half tempted to have you repeat that one more time because you cut out some of the important parts I think I missed.
Oh, we got it all. It was you that was cutting out that time.
Oh, well then it's on me? Okay.
Wait, let's go through it again if you can, John.
Yeah. What they've done is that they've taken the resolution loss that we experience over a flat plane as you increase in altitude, and that differential between eye level and sea level at the horizon where that resolution loss occurs. They've taken that and mathematically formed it into Earth curve. But level is still a horizontal plane. It doesn't change that.
Sure. Yeah, I get that.
So even within the mathematics of Earth curve and the claim that the Earth is curving, level, surface level, is still a horizontal plane.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm good with that. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, that's fine. I mean, it's like I said, it's not an argument. It's just information. I don't even know how to formulate it into an argument because it's axiomatic.
Right. Yeah.
It's not an argument. It's a stating a fact.
What the baller will try to convince you, as opposed to being a flat and level plane, is that horizon and the dip to it is the leading edge of a ball, because it geometrically, you know what size of a ball we are on. If we measure the dip, Rufy's done this recently in a photograph. If we measure the dip, then we can ascertain that distance, and in generating that, we can then know how much off of the tangent plane on top of a ball we are off or out by. It's a very similar thing, purpose, but this is to realign to an imaginary tangent plane on top of the ball. The baller will equate that. John's more sore points come in after on how you then plot anything after you've ascertained that, if you're going to then pretend you've dipped down. But the baller will use that dip correction that you're still ascertaining a flat plane, but it's now a tangent plane on the top of the ball, which you've corrected from the dip to the horizon, which is geometric, remember.
Right. But in the dip angle, because it's not just dip, it's a dip angle. That's a differential between eye level to where surface level appears to meet the sky. You still have level as a horizontal plane. You can't bend that line, else you don't have an angle anymore.
No, it's geometric. It's not eye level, it's geometric, right? That's the weakness in their argument.
They just say that they said that.
What are we measuring with? Eyes, eye level. I can't agree with you. I can only agree with you. Yeah, and if I'm using a sextant, it's eye level, and that's the point of the correction to eye level. For the disappearance point, the point of dissolution, that correction for eye level. It's not what the ballers claim. Remember, it's a geometric correction. That's what they invoke.
No, they claim level's curved, my friend. That's what you said just a second ago, didn't they? No, level's not curved, or it is curved.
That's a secondary point that distracts us away from your point that I'm supporting. So to invoke this tangent plane, which to them they then justify, they are invoking geometry through the eye to create their tangent plane. Now, these are where they need attacking, where they can't. Because you can't invoke geometry through perspective or dissolution points, which is how we use the sextant, what it's for. That's why we have a dip angle, because it's an optical correction. It's not a geometric correction that we're making here, but that's what they invoke. Yeah, but at the same time, it's not geometric because it's optically refracted by 7/6R, so it's not geometric then, but it is geometric to invoke their tangent plane, which is equivalent to the initial surface level where you stood at, but then never relevant ever again as a surface level. the surface of your feet with their surface level tangent plane that they invoke has any relevance.
Right, but the surface level tangent plane is still a plane, right?
And totally, but it's only a plane that touches the surface where your feet are.
Well, this is a question I have about celestial navigation, because if you're going to use that sextant, you're going to bring the star down to what is basically an apparent place, but you treat it like a tangent plane. Is that not correct? So that you can correct for dip?
No. See, hold on. The plane at your feet is called surface level in the mathematics. It is a plane.
Yes. Yes.
So what's tangent to that? Because you're not invoking a horizon at that point. You're just talking about a plane at your feet.
You can't technically see a horizon at that point because you invoked a tangent. The only point of tangency would be at your feet. There is no tangent to see.
But that's surface. But in the mathematics, that's surface level, and it's a horizontal plane.
And that's the disconnect, isn't there? Because if we're going to talk about celestial navigation, they're the same thing, surface level, yeah, and the plane of which you're navigating and the plane in which we invoke the right angle triangle are all the same thing. When we do celestial navigation and we try to transpose that on the ball, we've got a tangent plane on the surface, we've got the surface, and we invoke equatorial plane at the center of the ball to resolve all of this disconnect between the three planes, which are actually one.
Well, you have the plane of reference, which is your eye line, your eye level, not eye line, eye level, right? That's where you're referencing things from because that's where you see from. But it has to be parallel to surface level, or everything goes haywire. That you don't get angles anymore. You can't curve level. It's axiomatic. You can't do it, or your math falls apart.
Eye level is a parallel to surface level, isn't it? Which, for celestial navigation, is an equivalence. For terrestrial, not so much. There are a mitigation that's required, but in both cases, it's a parallel plane to surface level, eye level. It's why we have dip to the horizon,
when you're doing
isn't it?
That's true.
That's the true purpose of dip correction, to ensure that eye level is parallel to surface level, the surface we're going to navigate on, that it's parallel to that. That's how celestial navigation works.
Yeah. Yeah, they're taking the inosphere onosphere thing to mean that because my tool has an arc to it, therefore the sky is arcing, and I'm in a sphere, therefore I'm on a sphere. Is kind of the. Don't tell me how it works. I don't know how they deluded themselves this far.
It's because they presuppose that a change in elevation angle invokes curve as opposed to distance. This is the Masonic trick. Yeah, you measure distance in different ways. On the ground, you've got the square, your rulers. Yeah, in the sky, you've got your compass to measure distance.
Yeah, and both of them use a horizontal baseline. You know, it's just like
exactly.
It always comes back to that. It always comes back to that.
Well, it has to, doesn't it? I mean, it's just how the world is.
It's reality. It's reality. Hello. Yeah. That's not understanding. Not understanding the disconnect. Not understanding the problem. I don't know why there's got to be presentations. Really ain't getting it. Forgive me.
Well, now, Neil, we had a year of talking all this through 10th before it was really dropped as an argument. You remember? Like,
Yeah, but what's
it
going
was
to
a
be?
solid year.
Be careful because they're going to say, yeah, solid year at 10th Man, pulling up slides, breaking out books, doing all sorts of things for us to comprehend it. But that's celestial navigation. That was the whole thing. This bounces right off of that, and it's just a fact. I don't think it needs what was needed when 10th Man started breaking it down.
Is that because you understand
it doesn't.
now?
I mean, it just.
Yeah, that's probably it, Adam. You're right. That's probably it.
Like, facts are just facts. I agree with that. But for people to comprehend them, sometimes it takes time.
The celestial navigation thing I got pretty much instantly, right? But there have been other things that have taken a while to just kind of either undo some of the indoctrination, right, or to learn something that is totally alien. So, I mean, it kind of depends on the individual. And also, I think those of us that have been in this topic for a long time have kind of become detached from what it was like to be somebody who's new to this information or not well versed or is just a conspiratard flat earther that doesn't want to put the time in or the effort to understand some of these more technical arguments. So some of it does take a while.
But do you get John's point? Or not? There's nothing wrong with saying no.
In regards to what specifically?
In terms of you'll need a flat earth for that, because that seems to be what, the reflection of the planes.
No, I'm good with all of that. In fact, the thing that I still haven't had like either a good enough explanation or a satisfactory one. So if we're not going to use a bubble section, if we're going to use one at sea, and I understand that when we get on the boat, we're going to subtract or take into account how high above the water we're going to take this observation. But if we use that sextant and we use it to bring the star or the sun down to what we agree is an apparent position, an apparent horizon. And depending on the day, right, we agree with this, that horizon could be higher or lower, right, depending on the conditions. And so the angle to the horizon would have to change from your viewing position. How do you know what to subtract from if that apparent position?
What? Your horizon doesn't change
You about to
whether
say
it's
something,
foggy
Adam?
or not. No, your horizon changes based on the observer height of the eye over the deck. That's what mitigates change. Whether it's foggy or cloudy, no, your horizon's going to render at the same point. Yeah, might be a bit more foggy, but that center point's going to be the same. The deciding factor is the height of the lens above the obstruction, which is the flat deck. That's what. Right. Let me ask you a question. When we do height of eye correction, what is it correcting for? What is the specific correction?
Well, I guess it would be a feet in inches value above the water surface, from what I've understood. Correct?
That's the height of the eye. Yeah. So we know when we're on the ship, whatever the height of the eye is going to be, and that will determine the correction. But what is the correction being made for? You alluded to earlier. Is it bringing the eye down?
Yeah. Right.
No, it's not.
Right. So
No, it's not.
It's not?
No.
So what are we correcting? Are we bringing...
Yeah. So if you're trying to think of this from an orthographic viewpoint, that you've got the eye and it's above the deck and it's looking out. It's looking out to what? There isn't, from an orthographic point of view, that it'll ever reach the deck because they're both parallel, aren't they? Yeah. There isn't that.
Right.
There isn't
It's an apparent
that
position.
isn't the resolvement. The resolvement is this is a optical correction. Right? So as you alluded to earlier, we have the bubble sextant. We make no correction because we know the device is level. Now we can make that same accurate leveling, but instead of using a bubble on a known flat surface, we don't have that at sea or sometimes even up a mountain because there isn't a flat surface to put it on. Yeah, that's convenient. So what we can use is the height of eye dip correction. And what that does is tell you that with a certain lens, i.e. the eye, the higher it is above the flat deck, where horizon is created by the limitation of visibility from the flat deck, i.e. you can't have obstruction in the way to the sky, then the higher the height of the eye, the lower the actual point of resolution, the point of resolvement will be, where the horizon forms. So what it's telling you is this point of optical dissolution isn't anything, it's a point of dissolvement. It's a creation by limitation of the eye to resolve and the disparity between the limited angles between the sky, which are unlimited, and the limited angles to the deck. And as you go up, those limitation rates change slightly. Therefore, you have to adjust slightly for where that limitation line, which is nothing in reality. Remember, all it is a point you can no longer resolve. Yeah. Where that point you can no longer resolve is based on the angle to the deck. Now, the prerequisite is that deck is flat. That's really important mathematically, because if it was curved, then it'd throw all sorts of problems in. Yeah, and it wouldn't be constructed in terms of the way they try to make it look like a curve and an optical curve. It wouldn't be constructed like that because that is limited. The rate of variance is as I said, the height of the eye and the lens you're using, and the lens is important. But there's no variance in the mathematical construction for height of eye for the nature of the deck. The nature of the deck is assumed flat. That's why it's a good flat earth proof. But hopefully you can understand that's what height of eye does. So in the case of celestial navigation, you're creating a parallel, which is why you don't have to bring the height of eye down if you're using a bubble sextant on the top of a mountain, because that parallel for celestial navigation renders the same angle. We're not bringing the eye down. We're just ensuring that the line of sight, the plane that we generate, is parallel to the surface for celestial navigation.
Okay. So I'm with you, Brian. So let me give an example of what I'm talking about. And I'll use... Hello?
I said that.
So I'll use, for example... Oh, sorry, Adam. My bad. So you know how we have those two black swan images, the one where you can obviously see beyond the rigs, and then the ones the ballers will bring in where it's occulting the two rigs, right? So the apparent location of the horizon, if you were to use a sextant that day, you would have a different angle to the horizon depending on the day that it is. Are you with me so far? Is that correct?
No.
No.
No,
you wouldn't. That's the crazy part. You wouldn't. Sorry, I'm stealing your thunder. Go ahead, man.
No, you take it, bro.
Yeah, that's the thing. The horizon's not geometric.
I understand that. It's apparent.
Right. It will render at the same angle relative to your height above the deck, no matter what.
Well, that's bizarre.
That's why you can use dip correction.
Right. So let me give you an example. In the Black Swan image, you know that the deck is flat, don't you? But when you look out at the Black Swan image, okay, the first oil rig is the same height on the flat deck as the second oil rig. But in the image that you are using, your eye, the thing that's taking in the data, the thing that's going to ascertain a level for you, in the case of a sextant, is the deck higher for the second platform than the first in the image, or are they level in the image?
I think I just got it. So the angle to them, even though it may appear before them, it's not higher. It just appears to be before them because of foreshortening, I guess. That's what I call it. Whatever the water's doing that day, I guess.
When you
But
use
the angle's
a
the
bubble
same.
when you use a bubble sextant, you use a bubble to make sure it's level. When you use a sextant just through the device and you use the horizon, you're using perspective to generate that level. Yeah? And that perspective has a slightly different effect at different heights above the deck. And that known difference, irrespective of the conditions of the day, is your height of eye correction to attain a level. The same as the bubble level. So all it's doing.
Yeah, it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing when you first get it, because to say the horizon's higher or lower depending on refraction, no, it's further away or closer to you, but the angle doesn't change. And when you get your mind around that, it's a big one.
Yeah, no, I got it just now. Because, well, I'll think about like the Skunk Bay footage, right? Where apparently the horizon or whatever is out in front of you can raise or lower. So I'm thinking to myself, if you're going to measure to that, then the angle would have to change if it appears to be higher or lower.
That's not a horizon. The Skunk Bay is not.
Right.
There is not one horizon in the Skunk Bay image. It's just topography and the effects of the water temperature, basically. Yeah. On that landscape. That's all you see. Yeah. There is no horizon in that image. There is no visible point where the sky appears to meet the sea. Yeah. Across a flat plane. There's just stuff in the way. Lake, island, mountain, tree. There's no point where you see off to infinity. Everything has a point of physical obstruction in the Skunk Bay imagery.
And I think I'm correct in saying this because I've always assumed this, but you cannot use a horizon, let's say, like a hill. You can't use that in celestial navigation. You'd have to use a bubble sextant in that case, right? A hill in the distance is the only thing that's dividing the sky and the land. You can't use that as far as celestial navigation is concerned, correct? Because you wouldn't be leveling to a hill, obviously.
But it's not a point of optical dissolution, is it, a hill? It's a point where you can see it.
Right.
But it's still a hill.
Yeah. Yep.
That's not to say with surveying wouldn't use a known point on a hill, a marker that the Ordnance Survey has all across Britain. So you could use a theodolite to generate a level, but that's because that level's already been generated and you've got your known height at your place and its known height. So you could use those two things with theodolite to generate an artificial level, yeah, just as you generate an artificial level when you use the horizon.
Sure.
Yeah, I already used that dirty trick on Adam one time to try to establish remember that? We was talking about Alberuni, and well, maybe there was a lake there he could generate a level off of.
That's fine. Yeah. Height above lake level. Welcome to Planet Lake.
Well, you guys solved a mystery for me today that I never thought about. So I appreciate it. I'm going to get out of here. But as usual, always a pleasure talking to you. So catch you on the flip side.
It's been really interesting listening.
I appreciate the input. I think it was you that triggered people to speak a little bit in terms of you as a listener's desires. That's kind of what we need to feed, I think, what people want. Well, whether that's for viewership or whatever, but there's kind of, as I said, there's a lot of the panel that's more altruistic. We do this for free because we think it's worthy of doing. To hear what's more would be viewed with high regard is good to hear. So thanks for the feedback, is what I'd say. So thank you.
Sure, yeah, I'm one of thousands. There's a lot of people. You guys have a pretty far reach, and I hope you're encouraged by that. The lion's share of what is used in the forums that I go into is coming from FED and Brian and QE definitely. So it's all valuable and it all has great effect. If there's anything that's kind of discouraging is that there are very few genuine people to talk to. Most of it is kind of just in the trenches with the trolls. But every once in a while, somebody who is totally virgin to the topic shows up, and we get a chance to talk to them. And a lot of this is very useful. So it is effective, and you guys do have an effect and a reach out there. So be encouraged.
Hey, thank you for coming by.
Yep. We'll catch you guys later. Thank you.
Did you get Refracted to commit to a slideshow or not? Are we going to get slides off you, Refracted?
I may have to pull Bunk out of the or debunk out of I put them in bins because my girls don't play with them anymore. I may have to get them back out.
That's puppet cruelty. At least the word it should be a toy box, not in the bin, poor kid. Yeah, bring back Bunk and Debunk.
Well, like the only reason I did Bunk and Debunk to begin with is because it was such an elementary point about, the baseline that I thought trying to explain it seriously was kind of, duh, but I don't know. This one's a little bit different, I guess.
Cool. Well, impromptu though it was, this is going to have to be the end of this live stream. So, with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's live stream possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering stream, if you're watching after the fact, for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a member, gifting out memberships, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!